Hey guys, what's up? It's Lizzy Jane. We are back this week with a very special guest. Kumarion is joining me on the podcast this week to talk about all things drum and bass. Him and a handful of other phenomenal producers. If you know about drum and bass, you know it's one of the hardest genres to master the craft of. It's a forever learning journey, but him and a handful of others are pushing forward drum and bass culture in the States, and it's amazing to see. I saw him play at Red Rocks July 4th weekend 2 weeks ago with Zed's Dead and the Deadbeats crew. It was a whole night of drum and bass at Red Rocks. It was a whole night of drum and bass at the Brownies and Lemonade party in LA. And it was just a really step back, full circle moment to see how far drum and bass has actually come with the movement in the United States. And I'm so excited for the future of it. Kumarion is someone who I have really followed since his hit single Want It on Jadu Dala, really put him on the map, but he has been at this for quite some time, and it's incredible to see his fan base grow, his tour history grow, and I'm so excited for the future of the Kumarion project. Don't forget to stream my new single Chemical Love with Adam Jazim and Mercedes Arnhorn. We appreciate all of the love on it so far, and I'm so glad you guys are fucking with it. Please make sure to keep on streaming those, the numbers up, as well as we have the remix EP for Take Control dropping super soon, so make sure to keep an eye out for the pre-save link for that. I have some spots open in my Patreon. This podcast will be ad-free in my Patreon. If you're looking for one-on-one lessons, consultations, sample packs, vocal packs, anything you can think of, hop over in the description to my Patreon, check it out, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. Would absolutely love to chat. And as always, if you fuck with what we're doing at the Lizzy Jane podcast, remember to share it, tag your friends, tag me, tag the guest, and I would love to get to know you. Without further ado, this is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into my episode with Kumarion. Hope you guys have a lovely week, and I will see you next time. The show today was brought to you by Vitaplur E-Boost Gum. With no pill to take or powders to mix, Vitaplur E-Boost Gum is a first-of-its-kind energy rave supplement that provides magnesium, electrolytes, and antioxidants while you chew. Vitaplur is the perfect complement to my active lifestyle, whether it's at the festival, on the road touring, or hitting the gym. Chew Vitaplur and dance with confidence. Use code LizzyJane for 10% off any order. Omar, I really appreciate you coming on today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, you just moved to Denver, relocation.
Yeah, and I want to say end of February.
End of February. Okay, so you've been here like a month more than I've been here, and it's kind of crazy to come here and realize how many artists actually live here.
Yeah, that blew my mind, actually. I didn't realize how many artists were here.
Me either, at all. And you kind of turn around, and I went to the G Jones show at Mission Ballroom. And I turned around and there was like GRiZ and Space Wizard and Red Drum and the Smokeland Boys and Taboo just moved here and Versa's here and CloZee's here and GRiZ is here, and it's like,
and there's more people moving here.
And there's more people moving here. It's a very, I would say, like a very desired location for not only EDM, but you just like look around. We're in this like crazy art gallery. You have the Rhino area that's all graffiti, all like creative outlets, and it's just like, it's super fucking cool. And for you yourself, for like all those listening, if you don't know who this genius is, he goes by the name Kumarion, pushing drum and bass wavelengths through, the US, totally the forefront of your focus for what the project has become. I would really love to know. I know you've been making music for quite some time. You had the single Want It on Jadu Dala that really put your project just smack dab on the map in front of everybody. Was drum and bass the main long-term goal for Kumarion?
So the story about that song is actually really funny because people think I just switched up right after that, but Want It was actually the one-off that I did that happened to blow up because I mean, I grew up listening to like Jungle, and then discovered Noisy in like 2012, 2013. And
always a good discovery.
Yeah. I watched that Shell Shock music video and I was like, wait a minute, this is what I want to do. Yeah, and I've been like trying to pursue it ever since. I mean, what actually inspired Want It was, I think I was at Bass Canyon in 2019 and I watched like the Lacan takeover and I was like, I want to write a tune that would fit like that kind of vibe. And I actually sat on it for like months, that song, because I mean, Bass Canyon happened in August, and then I wrote the song as soon as I got home, and I actually hated it. I didn't like it at all. Yeah, I didn't like it at all, and I kept fixing it. I remember giving it to one of my friends who's like DJing at a local club up in Seattle, and me and my friend go over there. I gave him the tune and asked him if he could play it out. And then he played it out on the sound system. I was like, okay, this is shit. I just ran home, tried to like fix it. I still don't like the mix on it till this day. I wrote it. The monitors that I use to write that song didn't go under like 50 hertz. So I couldn't even hear the sub or anything. But then my roommate at the time, he was like, just release it. Who cares? Because like I had this problem for like, I've been producing since like 2012, 2013 or so.
Yeah.
And I wasn't releasing any music. At that point, I had one tune out, 1984 on Play Me.
Okay. That's Raid Speeds.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. She's great.
Yeah. I only had one tune out and my roommate was like, just release it, man. Just find a label and send it to them. And I sent it to Jadu Dala. I think a month later, they finally responded in February. And they were like, yeah, let's release this. And then, I don't know, that song gave me a career.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely gave you that leeway to completely propel yourself. I mean, it was like track list 1001, like all over that fucking shit.
Yeah.
And,
it was like when everything shut down, actually.
Mm-hmm. I remember Okeechobee of 2020 was the last festival that happened before everything got shut down.
Yeah.
And did you play that festival or was
it was Recno that dropped it.
That's who it was.
And the video
blew the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
So crazy.
Yeah, no, that was really weird. And then I was like finally like getting hyped. I was like, oh, it's happening. And then everything just shut down. And I didn't know. I honestly got lucky. I'm glad I wasn't like touring or anything because a lot of artists that were at the time like just got shafted.
Yes.
So hard.
It really showed you that you can't depend solely on touring money because you just never know what's going to happen. And exactly like, I'm sure you had colleagues just like I did where their career was starting to come to fruition and it was like almost right fucking there. They were getting the support slots. They were getting the signings to the agencies. And then it was like, never mind.
Yep. I've heard so many stories like that. It sucks.
Crazy stories where they've lost all of their income because we've never had something like this.
I wasn't depending on it. Yeah,
exactly. And you know, I think it also provided a unique space for people like yourself where you've always been like a producer's producer where, you know, like in our industry, you could be a DJ that goes, you know, and says, okay, I'm done playing other people's music. I want to make my own.
Yeah.
And then nowadays it's more so, okay, start the production first. Then you're learning how to DJ on the back end or X, Y, and Z because production just takes so much longer to hone that skill, to develop the craft, to actually make the music that you want to make. And then you have to start developing your quote unquote sound. Yeah, and you were able to ride the wave off of Want It into at least solidifying yourselves on top tier labels from it, right? Like, did you receive like labels hitting you up? Hey.
Tons of it.
Yeah.
But I think, and like, not to dog on any of the labels, but the thing that I get the most, that is probably the most annoying thing that I've gotten, or like question I've always been asked, even in collabs, is like, people keep asking me if I could write something like Want It or do another one or another one. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think I'll ever write something like that again, to be honest.
It's crazy because just like you said, you hated the track and you weren't a fan of it.
I wasn't.
And if it wasn't for your roommate being like, hey, put that shit out, just see how people are going to receive it, you might have never put it out. You may have never submitted it.
Yeah. Well, that was one song that I've actually grown to like over time.
As you should.
Yeah. I mean, it's done a lot for me, and I don't know. Like, I'm sure, like after you write something, like, and you're so over it and you hear it, just like makes you cringe sometimes.
Well, your ears are stuff. Like, I've heard the same thing. Not only do your ears get tired as a producer working in the DAW, it's going to sound different when you wake up in the morning and you listen to a distorted Reese than when you listen to it at 9 p.m. at night and you're listening to the same fucking Reese. I've done remixes before that. With those, I'm always super picky because you're submitting it. The original artist is listening to it. It's all of that stuff. And I will just fucking hate it. The mix down, the highs are too high, the mids are too high, X, Y, and Z. And then I go listen to it 6 months later and my head just goes, why did you ever hate this? Why? Like, this isn't even an issue right now. And it's just it's a mind fuck for sure.
That's true. Yeah. I think it's important to take your time with art, like to be able to like make the right decisions when it comes to music production. You have to put yourself in like a different set of shoes or like a different perspective, and that's really hard to do, I mean, like as a producer, like you're definitely your own worst critic if you care about what you do.
Yes. I think the best people are, you're always going to think you're not doing enough. You're always going to think it's not good enough.
Yeah. Well, it's just a sign that you're growing or you're actively learning. I mean, there's the other end of it though, is that if you're too critical of yourself, you're never going to put anything out, which is my problem for the longest time.
Yeah. But you still have a crazy output now of music, I would say. I mean, you're releasing what, like every 1 to 2 months?
I'm trying to do every month.
Yep.
At least once a month. I'm sitting on a ton of tunes and I'm working on an EP right now.
Awesome.
But I'm trying to keep up with the tempo. And it's honestly, I think any more than once a month, I think you're just like overdoing it. Yeah, you're over. I mean, it's just not healthy for you either.
Even once a month is like, that's still hard. Considering to properly release a song, whether it's on a label in which you could be waiting now upwards to a year to release.
Yeah.
Or you're doing it on your own and you're getting a distribution company or you're using DistroKid. You still have to do a release plan, submit it, at least 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks in advance, get the cover art, do the blogs, do the support, do all of that stuff. It's so much more than just
dropping it.
Yeah, than just dropping it and just being like, I wish it was like that because I feel like in the SoundCloud era, it was a lot easier to do something and just be like, fuck it, I'm putting it up. Let's just ride it. Let's see it go. I think about Luca Lush. I think about the guys who make these huge reboots and bootlegs that just completely propelled their career. And it just, unfortunately, it's really hard to have, like, I would say that one hit wonder, which you definitely like fell into that category of a single that completely put you on the board.
Yeah.
But then you have to follow up. It's not going to just make your career.
So when I put that, song out, that was like probably the worst part of it was people were asking me for music and I did not have enough music for everyone. And the added pressure of trying to one up that song, it like is absolutely nuts, especially when everybody's constantly asking you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be it was definitely tough for a while because it made me feel like I didn't know what I was like writing.
Yep. Well, there's so much pressure, and also when you see it happening and you think to yourself, okay, it's happening. Whether you're in COVID or not, that little pressure of it being like, here's my window of opportunity for me to make like my passion a career.
Mm-hmm.
It can sometimes stunt your creative, inspirational flow.
I think it definitely did like for a while. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It wasn't like at one point, I think during the pandemic, especially with everything going on, like the political atmosphere.
So stressful.
Dude, yeah, I just like
how can I post my SoundCloud link when the world's blowing up?
Exactly. Seriously. Like, oh my God. Like, we're just trying to like posting about like a release just felt so wrong.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I don't know what it was. Even the other day when the Roe vs. Wade stuff was happening, I think it was like more Kismet's album release date, somebody else's album release date. And I'm just like, holy shit, this is going on and this is fucking terrible. But I also feel so bad for my friends that just worked like 3 years on this album, and now it feels wrong for them to be pushing it. And it's like, it's almost like a gamble even choosing a release date with where we're at right now, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when we're going to wake up and see X, Y, and Z all over social media. And then you have to be the person who sits in the middle of, hey, I have to make the right decision for my career, but also the right decision personally. Yeah. And it's sometimes just a contradictory, like, jumble fuck of pushing your project. And especially, like, I think of, like, you, I think of Reaper, I think of Justin Hawks, I think of Bensley, like, all these people who are now in the States, whether, you know, they were from the States originally or they've come over from overseas. It's definitely a fight you all are pursuing to push this sound forward.
Oh, man, it can be an uphill battle sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was like DJing in the local scene up in Seattle, and I've definitely cleared dance floors with drum and bass before. And it sucks, but I mean, we're kind of in it for the long haul. I mean, I'm doing it like the way I like to think about my project in general is like, I don't want to be the best drum and bass producer or like the number one. I just want to be a part of like the history books that says, hey, he helped kick in the door.
Yeah.
You know, that I am like completely happy with that. And like a big part of it was like a frustration that there weren't any like massives here for like drum and bass. And I just honestly feel like people are just missing out on some really, really great stuff that they're doing over in Europe and not here. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what was a prime motivator. And I think we all share that sentiment. And like, what's cool about like there are very few touring American drum and bass artists.
Yes.
Or North American.
Drum and bass.
Yeah, exactly. We all feel like we're like a part of a team rather than like, you know, competition, which is a really, really good thing. And that's an advantage I think we have over like a lot of other people.
I was just about to say that does not happen in other subgenres.
No,
you're looking
it doesn't.
At tech house, you're looking at dubstep. It is from like an agent professional perspective, a like dick measuring competition.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's your tour history? What are your streams? What is this? What is that? But you all are kind of working as a team to push forward the greater movement of drum and bass in the States.
I mean, me and Reaper are in 2 different agencies.
I know, which is amazing because you don't see 2 major agencies usually work together.
Yeah, we have so many back-to-backs coming up this summer. We did a tour together, like, and it's been working absolutely great. So,
and from my understanding, that tour that you and Reaper did was like small cap rooms, just drum and bass.
Yeah,
which is so sick.
I'm just happy we sold tickets.
Yeah, but you did sell like tons of tickets.
Yeah, I was so surprised. Like, not to dog on ourselves, but like, you know, coming from this scene, we're usually the underdogs, or like, you know, we just not used to this kind of attention.
Yeah,
and I don't know, something's brewing up. Whether you hate it or you love it, you're still talking about it, and that's all that matters right now.
It's the Kanye West.
It's
even if you're talking shit about him, you're still talking about him.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just brings it into conversation. And LA has always pushed it. I would say like general hubs for electronic dance music, especially people like pushing the underground. Like Miami's always has had moments where they've had that underground jungle, more so jungle than drum and bass, but that jungle vibe, which translates into drum and bass. I look at Chicago, some of Denver, but nothing like crazy. Not enough to put together a whole 40-date tour and say we're touring the States and we're going to confidently do this. And now the night that you played Red Rocks, Brownies and Lemonade did a whole takeover with Netsky in LA. And it's like to think about one of the biggest venues in the United States having a almost complete, besides Zed's Dead, drum and bass night. And then not even 3-hour plane ride away, you've got another probably 3 to 5K venue that's got complete drum and bass. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that in terms of growth.
And Fury is throwing some crazy shows here now.
Where is that? Is that here? Oh,
he
no
had,
way.
I unfortunately couldn't go, but he had Culture Shock come through here.
Fire.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's doing some great stuff over here now, too, which is awesome.
And I feel like that's what it's going to take is like people from overseas coming here and also like curating, like event curators actually knowing how to do it properly.
That's a big one, doing it properly for sure. Like, there's a lot of promoters around the country. I see like booking like a drum and bass headliner, but then the support acts are like rhythm or like some other shit that just doesn't fit
I
the
don't
bill.
consider it like it is bass music. I guess I should ask you the question is where do you feel like it fits? Because I don't think
drum and
it
bass
should be fit in the same circle of the Venn diagram of dubstep.
You know? No, it's because I see drum and bass as like for the longest time, drum and bass was separate than EDM. It was not the same thing. They didn't consider themselves the same thing. And it's got so many, there's like a little something for everyone in it.
I love
there's
Liquid.
Liquid.
Like, Liquid's my shit.
Yeah, I'm starting to write a lot of Liquid.
Really?
Now.
Oh, that's so exciting. I was going to ask you, like, because there's so many, just like how there's subgenres of dubstep, there's subgenres of drum and bass.
Yeah, there's rollers, you got your steppers, you got jump up. Yeah.
Crazy.
Neuro, like you got like the more techie side of drum and bass. And the cool thing, like the way I think about it is this. There's a lot of people in like the house music scene. Like not all of them like drum and bass, but there's like a little bit of them. And then some in the bass head scene that like it.
There's this tempo correlation though, where it goes very easy for it to go from something I would say like tech housey or like bass housey. Like I use Blossom as a good example because she just started releasing drum and
she's
bass,
awesome.
but she was bass house artist first, And there's that correlation there where I feel like a lot of the sound design can be easily taken and punched in, put in some neuro, put in some X, Y, and Z, change that drum beat groove.
Like bassline, for example, the UK genre, as some people would call it bass house here. But
the grime, UK,
yeah. I mean, it's very, very, very similar to Jump Up. Like same sound design, just different tempo. Yeah, I mean, but you also see that in the dubstep scene too. A lot of like the OGs were drum and bass producers.
The Front Case, like Dr. P.
Yep. But what I was saying was that like you see a little bit of them liking it and you see a little bit of like the house scene liking it, which all that tells me is that there's like a little piece of the pie that we can carve out for ourselves here. And I think, I mean, it's going to take a lot. Like it's not just like the DJs, but like also the promoters, talent buyers, agents, and the fans.
An army.
Yeah, it's everybody has to contribute to it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I think what it was for the longest time is like generally, if you like the drum and bass scene is generally an older crowd, like 30s, 40s.
Yep. It's like the retired raver crowd. Like that was like what it was before. I feel like it's translated into more of our demographic.
Yeah, and they have like careers, kids, like it's hard for them to come out.
Yep.
But now that demographic is changing. It's a lot younger kids now. So it's going to take everyone to come out to these shows.
Yes.
Buy tickets and support the art,
Absolutely. And I think it's really cool too when you see people like who are incredibly talented producers like Blank, like start like a side project where he's taking his demographic, which is like dubstep, melodic bass, melodic music, and turning them on to something that they may have never otherwise checked out.
Yeah.
And even though I think there's a huge stigma where I've seen traditional drum and bass producers kind of come at other producers for playing drum and bass in their set, that they're not necessarily writing it. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, the D&B set thing?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think people need to necessarily put D&B set in there if they're doing it.
Yeah.
Just play it.
Yeah, just play it.
Like, it's like almost as if like, oh, I'm going to play drum bass, you know?
Just you guys forward.
Yeah. Just play it. Just play it. I mean, it's all bass music at the end of the day. Like, you don't go see a band and they're playing like one tempo the whole time. That's it gets stale, you know? That's how you kill something.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, like, one of my most favorite, I haven't been there yet, but I always watch live streams, but Rampage out in Europe.
Oh, that's the dream.
It's like a great mix of drum and bass and dubstep. It's like all just bass music. And that's something that I want to see happen here.
Yep.
Just like a good mix of the two.
I think Forbidden Kingdom Pepe has I know because I'm from Florida, Pepe has a very strong desire to really make that.
Yeah.
And he tried this past year, and he's going to keep pushing forward with the drum and bass. I feel like Insomniacs is doing a good job.
Yeah, Project Z.
Yeah, starting to tie that in.
Yeah, we had a massive crowd at Project Z. I didn't realize until I started watching the videos.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. Like, it's cool to see people starting to come out and do that, because I remember that I've never seen that big of a crowd like show out to like a drum and bass stage here in America. Ever.
Really?
Yeah, personally. Ever. Yeah.
And when they have like other options, you know, they're not stuck there.
Yeah.
Like Red Rocks, it's like, you know, you definitely have some drum and bass fans in there. I think a lot of people are still figuring out how to move to it and how to dance to it and all of that stuff. And it's more of just an enjoyable thing. And I feel like that's what's so cool about drum and bass, is I feel like it is a performative art where you're really having to listen to it.
It's not very passive, that's for sure. Yeah, it's not
like headbang on the kick and snare and we're good to go for 5 hours.
You got to pull people out of that, because there's a point in time where headbanging wasn't a thing in dubstep.
Correct. Yeah, and I think everything repeats itself in cycles, and like everything's going to go up and down. And my whole thing is exactly what you just said, where if you're playing 150 your whole set, it's really hard to stay innovative, keep everybody really engaged, and it not just go to that regular roundabout. I'm just going to headbang. I'm not really listening to the music. I'm not really X, Y, and Z, which happens a lot of times, I would say, at festivals, at shows.
Yeah.
And drum and bass isn't like that. It's definitely an inquisitive type of music.
Yeah. I think a big killer, especially in the early days, I would say like the first waves here. I mean, I was too young to experience it myself. Obviously, I can't go out to clubs if I'm like 7 years old.
Yes, correct.
But from what I understand from the history, it just got too, you know, I don't even know how to like explain it into words, but like people got way too like weird about it. Like, they were way too serious about it, and it got really dark, and they started pushing people out.
They have the walls up. It's like, if you don't do it my way, it's not being done correctly. And that's not the way it's going to grow here. It has to be able to transform, to mature. And long term, as I feel as if drum and bass keeps growing at the rate it is, drum and bass in America may be a bit different than drum and bass in the UK.
Oh, it most certainly probably will be. I mean, I was also like super heavy into the punk scene, and it was the same thing with that too.
Yeah.
American punk is a lot different than
super
punk from the UK.
different.
Yeah.
I'm like a huge fan of like Code Orange and like a lot of the, I would say, upstate New York small room punk bands that are more like almost thrash metal than like punk. But I look at like Neck Deep, and people consider that punk. They consider that pop punk, you know? And that's a very different description than doing the underground punk music, Every Time I Die kind of 2-step thing going on.
Yeah.
You know?
I grew up on Black Flag, Dead Kennedys, Minor Threat.
Yeah. Black Flag is the Warped Tour days, for sure. For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, and you even look at that, just looking at EDM in general, when I grew up, it was, and it's not even like I'm that old, but like when I was like 13, 14, I was at Warped Tour every summer. You know, like I was a big metalhead. I was into the mosh pits, into the rock and shit. When like Bring Me the Horizon was doing just like pure screamo, you know.
Yep, I remember those days.
Now Warped Tour isn't around, and now it's, you know, I meet tons of people who were metalheads before they got into dubstep and drum and bass, and you know, it pulls from those things where I feel like drum and bass, not only is it, I think, way more listenable if you're driving in the kitchen, at home, than dubstep. When you see drum and bass live, it's a completely different experience because the crowd can really propel that like unity of you guys listening to.
Well, see, here's the thing. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, but I mean, part of what makes like a really, really dope like drum and bass set, especially if you're talking about neuro, is like the pyro, the lasers, and all that stuff combined with the music can make for a really fucking insane experience. Except for we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So.
You got to get that second to headline slot where you get all the pyro and you get all of the fog and you get all the lasers.
Well, at Okeechobee, I played at that the I can't remember what the stage is called.
Was it the stage in the forest?
In Cindy.
Oh, in the fire stage.
With the fire stage. And that set was one of the coolest sets I've ever played.
That stage is so crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. I was actually scared to go up there because like I was standing behind it.
Yeah.
And they would fire, they would shoot the giant like fireball.
You're like, oh shit.
I could feel it. Like, and it was really hot. And I was like, man, I'm going to be standing right next to it. But then the second I got on stage, I didn't even notice.
But you see how much it adds. Because like, so walk me through how you build your sets. Like, are you touching on all these different subgenres, or are you trying to make it mostly your own music? How do you approach it?
I get in a bunch of different moods. Like throughout the tour, when I was on the Dirt Monkey tour, I was trying to play a little bit of everything. Then I started getting a little more into jump up, so I started like doing mostly like jump up sets. Now it just depends on my mood. Right now I'm like more into neuro, so I'll play more of my like neuro stuff in my sets. But now I'm entering my liquid phase.
The liquid phase.
I like it all. I
love liquid
D&B. But you can take a big L depending on the crowd by just mixing it up too much.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, if you're playing for like a bass head crowd and you're playing like more techie or like deeper stuff, nobody will like it, you know, because they're like, I can't headbang to this. It doesn't even, you know.
Yeah, but if you're throwing in like, I know Dirty Phonics isn't just like a D&B act, but they have like really great tracks where it's going from that dubstep into the D&B, into the jump up, and people go crazy.
Yeah. But if I play jump up to a crowd that's like more, you know, into like the deeper stuff, you'll take it out. And if you mix it up, you'll get half and half every time. So it's honestly a hard call, but I just go with my gut and I just play what I like to play.
Yeah.
And if you want to come along for the ride, fine. If not,
I feel like that's the best thing, because especially in drum and bass, you're really not going to be able to please everybody.
No way.
You know,
there's no way.
So.
As a matter of fact, you're probably going to piss some people off. I got a funny DM while I was playing at Incendia.
Oh, man.
I think it's my banner on Twitter. Somebody said, would you mind slowing it down while I was playing?
Would you mind, kind sir, just slowing the tempo down?
Like 12,000 people in the crowd.
He's like, maybe he'll see it. Maybe he'll slow it down, man. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The audacity sometimes. And
I know.
you know, funny, you even go on Twitter, which is basically like a war zone for children.
Oh my God.
And you know, you just see some people make comments and go off sometimes. And my head just goes, who are you? Yeah. What are you thinking? Like, why do you think this is going to make a change in any way, shape, or form? Yeah. And I can't imagine the DMs that like you, Reaper, even legends like Netsky, people get in big crowds.
On TikTok, TikTok is the worst.
Really?
So savage. Yeah, they hate me on there.
No
way. I posted like a video from Red Rocks. This is honestly so. It made me laugh. I posted a video from Red Rocks, and then these guys with like, no offense to the Tech House crowd, but they had like Tech House in there.
Of course.
They're like, no, the crowd looks dead. The crowd looks dead. And then I posted a follow-up video from a different perspective, and I was like, it literally isn't.
Yeah.
Like, and then
it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not playing John Summit. My apologies.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's something different for everyone. I think it's really, really weird, in my opinion, that people get so up in arms about it. You know?
Well, it's like, how is this personally offending you? Like,
right?
You know, just let everybody do their own thing. And but you know what? When dubstep came here, the same shit happened. I wasn't around for it, but like, I know the same shit happened. And the UK thinks that we ruined dubstep, which I totally understand. But it's just a different mutation of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a different maturity of the same sound. And I feel like in the next, I mean, I've had this discussion, I feel like, for 3 years, but I also know that this type of growth that needs to happen for it to be an actual staple in American electronic dance music is a slow, steady growth. It can't pop off because it's just going to disappear. It's pop and it's going to disappear.
Yeah, we don't want it to be like a trend or a fad that everyone's doing. Because, I mean, there's 30 years of culture behind it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just a fad. You know, there's so many people who have worked so hard to like build and make this culture, you know, and that's one thing that I try to keep in mind every time. Like, you know, I respect the guys that came before me. And
who would you say are like some of your top inspirations as far as historic drum and bass producers that you're like, okay, I'm doing this to like carry on their sound, carry on X, Y, and Z?
Oh, wow. Goldie, although I don't think he really fucks with the American drum and bass scene.
I don't think
it's like UK thing.
Yeah.
But, AMC. I mean, there's tons of people that support it too. Like that, there's so many different camps that they all feel different types of ways about it. I mean, they feel there's like a really cool documentary on Drum and Bass Arena that really explains it. There's a camp that, like, you know, when it started to get poppy with like Sub Focus and Dimension and all those guys, like they hate there's a camp that hates that shit, and there's a camp that really loves it because you're opening the door for people to explore the culture even more or go even deeper.
And by camp, do you just mean like little subsections,
like just people like who agree, like have one view of it or another.
Got it.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say like AMC is a big one. Obviously Noisia, Black Sun Empire has been doing. I mean, they've been like ahead of the game for so long. Their music would stand up today that they wrote in the like early to mid 2000s.
It's like seeing like a movie that was made in like the 80s or 90s that like really fucking holds up.
Yeah,
like watching like Star Wars or some shit.
Yeah,
and you're like, honestly, this like kind of holds up with a lot of movies made nowadays, and it's exactly like that. And I feel like, especially when like I'm at a drum and bass set and I hear like a classic thrown in, and it's not a remix, it's not a bootleg, it's the original.
Yeah,
you're like, damn, like this really puts into perspective how far it's come, but like still how similar it is. Like it still keeps the roots of it and pushes it forward in like unique ways.
Yeah. I mean, that honestly, I think a lot of modern sound design in bass music takes from like Noisia. I mean, I have Outer Edges framed on my wall.
Really? Oh man!
I think a lot of producers will tell you, especially a lot of like halftime producers or like in dubstep. Like, I mean, Noisia has to probably be like if one of their idols. It's like a producer's producer.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically what inspired me to like get into that kind of sound design, and a lot of other people too.
Yes.
Even if they don't write drum and bass, which is awesome.
I feel like you guys have an especially hard job because you know exactly what you just said is like Noise is like a producer's producer. Like you listen to it as a producer and you just die. You're like, how the fuck are they doing this? Like, literally. Oh my god, like da da da. And I feel like drum and bass is predominantly, I would say, out of everyone I talk to, other producers like drum and bass the best via like regular consumers. And I feel like the task at hand is how can I make this complex music appeal to a regular consumer that's used to listening to the same sound over and over again.
Honestly, I think the answer to that after like just kind of like doing some soul searching was actually pretty simple. Just have fun with it and keep it fun and don't take it too seriously. You take it the second you take it seriously, especially when we live in the meme generation.
You
know what I mean? Like it's not gonna work out. Like
no, and
I mean it's good music. Like don't get me wrong. Like you'll write good music, but if you lack, if every session that you have is like a struggle, or like you know, like you're trying to like write like the masterpiece, you're gonna end up hating it.
Yes.
Like just not necessarily the song, but like just the process.
It's impossible to do that with every song. It's impossible, and it's like some of my favorite songs I've written haven't popped off with like my listener base, where it's like it's been my fucking favorite song, whereas some of my least favorite songs have popped off. And you're just like, everybody interprets art and listens to art differently, and everybody's gonna have their own opinion. And that's why I think whether you're a D&B producer, a radio producer, a tech house producer, so much of it is just letting go of that overthinking and just being like, all right, I just need to put it out there and have people interpret it, because if it doesn't even get out there, no one's gonna fucking hear it.
Yeah. And it's easier said than done too. Like it's like a trap, like a mental trap that you have to get yourself out of. And a big thing that I've learned too, a lot of like the struggle to like become an artist, whether it doesn't matter whether you're a musician, like a producer, or like a visual artist or a dancer, it's a lot of it is mental.
Yes.
I think it's almost like harder than actually I would say it's harder than learning the technical aspects of it.
So much of it is mental. It definitely takes you. So you've been producing for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
About around there. It definitely takes you, I would say, a good 3 to 5 to get those like fundamentals really honed in, like to the point where they're just muscle memory. But the other end of that is additionally then being able to put yourself in a creative mind space, and like then being able to not overthink, then being able to not compare. And that is the hardest part, because you can self-sabotage yourself into never releasing again.
Yeah. I remember the phases that I went through, like the beginning of learning how to produce. I mean, like I came from like playing instruments, like guitar. I tried to start a band, but nobody would do anything.
Yeah.
That's how I basically started, like kind of producing. And I was just having fun with it. I had no idea what mixing and mastering was. I didn't know any of that shit.
Yeah.
And then not a care in the world, but having the most fun with it. And then I started taking it seriously. I'm like, started comparing my songs to other people. And I'm like, wait, why does this sound so much quieter and the mix is so shitty? But I thought it sounded good until I listened to this song. And now I think it's horrible. And then I go on YouTube, start learning. And then the next phase is just the dread of not being good enough. And then that's when the fun goes away.
Yeah.
But then you keep pushing yourself to learn all the technical aspects of it. And then you forget how to write music. Because you're like, you try to like do
and if the music isn't there, if the melody's not there, if the vocals aren't there, there's nothing for a regular listener to attach themselves to. And then you just have like respaces going crazy that sound phenomenal, and there's nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then you have to relearn. I think after you learn like a skill set.
So many phases.
Yeah.
So
I had to like relearn how to be creative, or how to inject my creativity while also kind of, color in between the lines. So, like technically, you know, make sure I like my mix sound is proper. Like over time, you start to develop techniques or your ways of doing things.
There's really, and that's where when I speak to, whether it's students, somebody I meet at a show wants to produce, whatever, it's just like start. You just have to start, because if you want to do this solely to the point where you can either start working with producers that you want to collaborate with or X, Y, and Z, it's a long journey that only time is going to get you there. Like the hours in the dog.
You gotta,
you know, you have to put the hours in.
And repetition.
To learn. You have to repeat. And even now, like at your level, you're still learning. You
never stop.
Yep.
There's so many there's so many ways to do one thing. I've come to learn that, which is why partially you do have to kind of rely on your gut, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you try to like think it out, like, you know, logically, I mean, it's just gonna like, you know, make you want to rip your hair out.
Yes.
You know?
And I feel like there's definitely a correlation, but a separation between muscle memory and being like, okay, I know this sample isn't in the BPM that I'm writing in. So just because of what I've seen, I need to put this in Complex Pro so the transients are there.
Yeah.
But then in your mind, you go, wait, so why am I doing this? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is there other ways to do this? Okay, there's 20 other ways to do this. And you just have to do it sometimes. And then you just have to trust your gut.
Yeah.
And I think the best, I use More Kismet as a great example. The best, you know, unique sounds come from a lot of the times breaking the rules, or you not knowing what the rules are, or just doing what you want it to sound like.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
you
totally.
know?
Totally. I mean, learning like how to do proper mix downs and learning the technical side of things certainly do help a lot.
It kind of takes the fun out of it, though.
But it does take the fun out of it, yes. But once you get, like, for me, when I got past that phase, I learned how to like have fun with it again. I'm like trying to, you know, trying to have fun with it again. And once you get there, like, it just, you know, you incorporate it into your workflow and you just don't even think about it, you know?
You don't even
like
think about it.
When I EQ stuff, I don't think about it. I just do it. Like,
and that's what you want to get to, because I think I tell so many people, it's like, you don't want to lose. You want to be prepared when you're in a creative mindset to get into your DAW and just write. And like, that's why I feel like having a template, like having some of these EQs maybe already there will help you take out some of that muddiness, frequencies, things that could get in your way. Because the last thing you want to do in a creative session is be like, oh my God, this isn't EQ'd the right way. And this needs to be shifted this way.
The way I think about it is like when you're inspired to write a song, a lot of it's like similar to like catching a wave when you're surfing. Once you catch the wave, you gotta ride it. You gotta ride it. And like sitting there and like thinking about what kind of compressor you're gonna use or any of that, like any of the technical stuff can kill that creativity. So the way I write is like, I like to get the ideas out as quick as possible. And like a lot of my best music I've written in a day.
I hear that a lot. I try and do that. I'm not great at it. I'm great at like writing a melody that I'll base a whole song off of in a day. But like red drum, blank, like a day. Like we sit down.
But not always. But there's songs that have taken me like months to a year. I just finished the song yesterday. That took me almost a year to write. But I end up always it feels so
you build it up. It's like verse, hey, I spent 24 hours on this. We'll go back and refine it, but the structure is pretty much done. The flow's there.
Yeah.
And then I can, do my mid-side, start the mix down process, start all of that stuff.
Right.
But when you work on something and part of it is so good and you're like, I have to make this song live up to this element in the song or X, Y, and Z. And then the amount of time put behind it, this needs to be so much more better than this piece of art because of the time and money and X, Y, and Z I've invested into it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like, especially in our industry, time is money, because it's like you use so much time working on music, and then you have to tour and play shows, and like all of this stuff accumulates together to keep the cycle going around and around and around.
I find it, I don't know about you, but I find it really hard to write right after I get back from like playing a show nowadays.
See, I'm opposite.
Really?
I'll play a show and I'll be so tired. I was texting you that morning in Fresno because I was at the airport. You were at the airport, I think, coming home from Project Z, or you were going to Project Z. And I was like, yo, you were coming home because that was the day you played at Red Rocks. And I said, okay, hey, I'll see you later. I'm at the Fresno. I haven't slept. And I'll get on the plane and I'll just write, and I'll be like super
You can
inspired.
write on the plane? Oh, man.
But then I'll have weeks at home where if I'm not touring or if I'm not playing shows, my mind's just kind of, it doesn't like wander, but it's harder for me to sit down in a concise session and say, we're knocking this out, we're finishing this.
I believe that producers who are able to work on tour buses and planes have a superpower.
Superpower.
Yeah, I can't at all. I get really picky about my environment.
Yeah.
Like my room has to be, well, I try to like my studio, keep it clean. And I have to like, you know, I have like a ritual that I do. I need nobody to talk to me.
That's
you
amazing.
know, like,
phone's got to go away. I try and turn off my internet when I can, because then I'm not getting shit popping up.
I work at night because nobody will text me at night, and I feel like the solitude that I need to like be able to write. So I generally try to work at night, because if I work like that, if I wake up and start producing, I'll only do that if I'm like you know, like
you really got something. Like
exactly. I like the evening. Like as soon as the sun sets, I'm like I start working.
Yeah.
But every time I like try to produce during the day, I was like, oh, I gotta post this, or like
there's so many things going on in your mind, because we just unfortunately can't just shut off the world and make music, or it's not gonna happen. You know, and the goal is to obviously maybe one day have somebody to help with that on a larger level.
That would be sick. Yeah.
But it's the other side of it is, you know, none of us are doing any of this without having fans or having a following or having people that fuck with your music. So it is so much of a part of the job that's so important to be able to keep doing music and releasing it and touring and
that's why I take the night shift.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
How
long will you produce to? Never ending.
My sleep schedule is screwed. Like I can stay up till like 4 or 5 in the morning. The sun will come up, and I'd feel really weird, you know, like just completely sober. Still feel like still feel like a degenerate.
Yeah.
But I'm like, wait, but I was being productive.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's still you still feel like a piece of shit.
I know, right? Well, it's just not a societal norm.
Yeah,
and
that's
I think that's why I've gone back so many times. I've been doing this for like 4 years, and I would say taking it seriously for about 4 years. And I've gone through phases like before I lived with my boyfriend where I was just literally degenerate. Just stay up all night, sleep all day, wake up at 5 p.m., start it again. And then I was like, I want to be a contributing member to society. And like my parents probably want to see me, considering I live in the same state. And I tried to like switch it around, do like, okay, I'm going to go to the office like a normal person. But then you have your phone blown up and you have emails you want to deal with and you have this and you have that. And it's hard. And I still go back and forth because I feel like most of it is I'll get something really great and then I want to work on it until I get it to a point where I know I need to walk away and then come back and see how it's sounding. Where if it's just like a daily schedule and I've got, you know, 5 projects I'm working on, I'm going to do a little bit here, I'm going to do a little bit there. It's so not routine for me. It's like, okay, you got all your shit done. All right, now let's do this. And I'm still figuring it out.
I've tried so many times to like keep a schedule. I can't. I literally can't.
Yeah. Because then you tour too. You'll have 2 weeks off. you kind of get in a normal thing. And then all of a sudden you have 2 shows in a row, or you have 1 show and then a day off and then another show. And your whole schedule's fucked again.
Mhm.
I mean, after that 4th of July weekend, because you did Project Z, I had the show in Fresno, came back, and then you had like Red Rocks, and then you had the 4th of July. That Tuesday, I was like, I'm out of commission. I'm fucking dead. Bye.
Yeah, I was out of commission for that whole week.
Yeah.
I was done.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I remember texting you. You're like, I need like a little bit of time to breathe. I was like, I totally understand that.
Yeah, just stay in bed and pretend nobody exists for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's wild. I mean, as far as your production process goes, you're in Ableton, right?
Yeah.
And then what are some of your favorite VSTs for sound design?
Right now it's Rift for one of the best distortion plugins.
Got it. Okay.
Ever. Let's see. I started using Shaperbox a lot for side chaining.
Nice.
Volume ducking.
Yeah. I used LFO Tool for a really long time, and then I went back to like a Live 8 compressor, ghost chain, kind of go switch back and forth.
Yeah, I do that for some things, like for percussion or like for pads or something. I'll use sidechain compression.
Yep.
But as far as like my like the low end heavy things, I'll use volume ducking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't even want to deal with that low end. I'd just rather just cut it out completely and let that kick come through.
I mean, I know some people who do still to this day the volume automation.
Just like
complete cut.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do that shit, all the power to you.
They make stuff for that.
But they make stuff for that now. Yeah. Well, it just goes back to there's 1,000 ways to do
one thing. Yeah, literally.
To do one thing.
Yeah.
So those are some of your favorites.
A couple, yeah.
When you start writing, is it just kind of like a crapshoot? It's something different every time, or do you have a method where you're starting with the melody, you're starting with the vocals?
I always know what key I want to write in when I start.
Okay.
I just pick a key.
Yeah.
Any key, and then just go for it. Well, when I'm writing my EP, I just make sure it's like, harmonic. Like I'll write D minor, C, or D minor, G minor. Just kind of make it flow. Yeah. So I can when I
do you do it all in one project?
No.
Okay.
I don't. But I do. I'll make it like a mini mixtape.
Nice. Okay.
And just kind of listen to it flow and flow together. Just testing ideas out and stuff. But yeah, I'll pick a key. I'll start with a sample or two that I like just to get inspired.
Yeah.
And then I'll go from there. I'll work I'll write a 8 to 16 bar loop.
Yep.
And then just work vertically. Mix it right there.
Okay.
And then I'll start working horizontally, start working on the structure.
Do you normally start on the drop groove, or
depends? Because when I write linear in a linear fashion, I always end up writing a super long intro.
Yeah.
Or I won't know where to take it.
Yeah.
The way I like to write is especially if it's supposed to be a banger, or you know what I mean. I'll start with the drop, write the B section, and then from the B section I'll write an outro, and that's how I get an idea of what I want to do in the intro.
Got it.
So I'll write this way and then back.
Well, so much of it is, I remember when I started producing, my first drop, my second drop was on completely different tunes, completely different. You kind of had that in one a little bit. You kind of had that first drop, and then the second drop, you still had the same sounds, but it was a different groove.
Yeah.
I would completely have obviously the same key, but I'm just okay, I want to do something interesting and different. And then I would try and write the intro and the interlude and the outro, and I'm holy fuck, I have way too many things to pull from. There's way too many things going on. So I feel if you start with that B section, you start with the outro, it's putting together a puzzle piece moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to be okay too with deleting shit.
Yes.
You got to be able to let go of stuff.
Less is definitely more too, I feel.
Yeah. Nowadays. I think a lot of people definitely overthink it and have way too many things going on. It's just you just got to pick one element, be your main element, and everything else supporting it.
Yes,
you know?
that exactly. You have that motif,
Mhm.
that main focal point,
Yep.
that main melody, and then you got to build around it with subtle details to like
Yeah, and that's it.
polish
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. Like a lot of people that I used to teach, I'm like, you have like 3 song ideas in one song.
Yep.
Like I was like, delete this or make it another song.
Or make another
And
song.
it's like-
I'll literally listen to
Yeah.
exactly. So I've had it told to me, and then I listen to student songs. I'm like, hey, you've got an EP in this one song. Let's take this sound, make a new beat.
Mhm.
Take this sound, change the key. Take this sound, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And do you do sound design sessions in your project?
No.
Okay, separately.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll do it, but that'll kill your creativity. That's the quickest way to kill your creativity. I think.
Yeah. You're like, I gotta create this one Reese that sounds exactly like this. Yeah.
I'll have like a whole bank of sounds that I've made. I have sound design projects. Well, I'll just make like a little like beat and then just like work on something.
Yeah.
Just get inspired from there. And sometimes the song will come out of it, but
Yes.
I'll try not to do sound design in the same project because like the goal here is to work as quick as possible.
Yep. Yep. Oh, it definitely,
Yeah.
especially in the industry, the subgenre that we are in.
Here's what I found.
It's
Oh.
definitely
Sorry,
here's what I found. It's definitely on how quick and how quality can you work.
Yeah.
It sucks sometimes because you watch
Yeah.
like artists in other genres take like years to make an album. But for us,
Yeah.
it's like if you want to build, especially at an upcoming standpoint, you got to keep kicking them out.
I don't even do it because that just happens to be convenient. I do it more so because I'll get tired of something really fast.
Yep.
You know?
And then you're like, I don't want to release this. I just want to start something
Yeah,
new. Like,
yeah,
I can
I'm
make
over
something
it.
better.
Yeah.
100%.
That's the hard thing with like the way how long it takes to release on labels now, because by the time it comes out, I really just don't care anymore.
Yeah. You're
So
like,
it's,
all
like,
right,
hard
it's
to
out.
promote.
Sweet. Cool.
Yeah.
Here you go. Yeah.
It's hard to promote.
The hype's
something
gone. It's a year
Yeah.
old. It's 3 years old. you know?
Exactly.
You're like, all right, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a give and take.
Mhm.
You know.
For sure.
Okay, so before I let you go, I
Uh-huh.
need 3 pieces of advice for aspiring drum and bass producers in the US. 3
Drum and
pieces.
bass specifically?
Specific. How to get out there, how to send your tracks out, how to approach getting drum and bass music on traditional American EDM labels.
My number 1 is, I know a lot of people are afraid to touch drum and bass. Don't be afraid to do it. There's a lot of shitty European producers too. Don't worry. Like just go into it. Like a lot of people are afraid to touch the genre. Just do it and have fun with it. And just, that's the best way to get good at it. Just make a lot of shitty songs until you make a good one.
Yep.
That's how everybody goes through it. Number 2 is, don't try to send to the biggest labels right away. The way I did it was I worked with a ton of like small to mid-sized labels that helped me out a lot. And you'll be surprised how much work they put in for you. Like, seriously, Jadu Dala put in so much work for me. More than a lot of big labels that I've worked with. So don't sleep on them. Submit to smaller labels, submit to mid-sized labels. Let's see, a third piece of advice. Can I give one for producers in general?
Absolutely.
It's okay to not finish songs.
There we go. Not everyone has to see the light of day.
No. And
Probably better things.
What I do, I mean, save it. But what I like to do is I'll organize all of my projects, finish or not, by key. And then if I have an idea that I'm trying to write quickly, I'll pull stuff out of the song in the same key and just try it out in a different song. And who knows, you might make something new. You know?
That's
and
perfect.
use it.
That's why you never want to throw anything away.
No.
Put it on your hard drive.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to
Just be
see
a
it.
hoarder. Yeah.
It's there. And then last thing, how did you come up with your project name? How did you come up with the name Kumarion?
So growing up, so my name is Omar. A lot of people, it actually stems from racism a little bit.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because people called me Kumar, like Harold and Kumar.
Way.
Yeah, and they thought it was funny.
Holy
So
shit.
that was my nickname. And then,
oh my God.
yeah. and people would call me Omarion. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna own it. Kumarion. I'm here now.
Legend is born. Legend is born. Holy shit. That'd be a good little clip. Like, hey guys, you wanna shout out elementary school?
Yeah, literally.
Fucking crazy. Well, I know you have tons of fucking tour dates for this fall coming up. You're gonna be killing it. Lots of back-to-backs with Reaper.
Yep. I'm
next
super excited.
Yeah. Which is like two of, I would say, the biggest up and coming pushing the sound together, which is so exciting. Which is I'm sure it's always got to be fun sharing it with someone else who like actually is just focused on drum and bass.
Yep, and it's all raw too. We don't plan shit.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't plan anything for Project Z.
Props to you guys. So fuck no.
Every time we try, we just end up like just saying, "Oh, what song do you want to start with?" And then we just like go from there on stage.
Well, that's like, that's as natural as it can get. Yeah. That's so exciting. Well, Omar, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Next time you see Kumarion in your city, make sure you snag tickets. Go and check them out. Let's do it. Bye, guys.
Peace.